All right, welcome to everybody out there. You're tuned in to Amateur Radio Roundtable. This is a show about shortwave, ham radio, electronics, and maybe some other subjects from time to time. So we're glad you're with us tonight. Hey, I want to especially say hello to everybody out there. If you're listening on WBCQ, and WBCQ up in Monticello, Maine. Really famous shortwave station up here. Hey, if you're listening to us, tell us where you are and how you're hearing the show tonight and where you are in the world, and we'd love to hear from you. You can send an email to Tom at W5KUB, Tom at W5KUB. We're also on just about every podcast carrier out there, from iNet Radio to iHeart to Google Play, iTunes, you name it, we're on. You can find us. So, if you or traveling across the country, or you're working and you got your earphones in and your boss don't know it, you can listen to the show there. Let's see. Let me invite you to join our Facebook group. Our Facebook group is just simply, it follows the show. The Facebook group is a ham radio Facebook group, and it's called Amateur Radio Roundtable, but that's a really long name. If you just type in the search bar W5KUB, it'll bring you to the same place. So join us. We got about 14,000 members in that Facebook group. We'd love to have you there. And if you will, man, we'd love for you. I don't know where you're watching tonight. We're on Twitch TV. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube, and we're on Facebook. I don't know where you are, but if you got a subscribe button, it should be right down there somewhere. Hit that subscribe button, and that will greatly help us to get the word out about the show. So we really appreciate that. Hey, we got a good show tonight. Got a special guest on here tonight. I'll give you a little hint. Why would anybody want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane? I'll give you that hint right there. That's all I'm going to say about that. We'll get with him in just a minute here. Let me tell you about Glenn. Glenn was going to try to make it tonight. You guys probably know Glenn had heart surgery about 2 years ago. And Glenn's been doing fine, and it was time for a checkup. And he went in to have a stress bill test and a checkup today. And they sent him to the hospital. They checked him in the hospital. Who knows? It was unexpected. But I think he's doing okay. I think it's just precautions, just to make sure. Something in his treadmill test looked a little funny. I took a treadmill test about a year ago, and I thought I did great on it, man. I just kept going and going and going, and when I got the results back, I flunked it. I thought, what? And so they scheduled me for some really in-depth MRIs and, what do you call it, what's the explosive TNT under your tongue and all that mess, and they ran me through the thing, and they came out and back and said, hey, you got the heart of a 30-year-old. And I said, man, why did I fail the other test? And he said, it was just a fake negative, it was just a fake negative. He said, that happens sometimes. So maybe that's what happened with Glenn. We'll see. That was nitroglycerin they put under my tongue instead of explosives, but I think it's the same thing. I don't know. Anyway, hey, we're here tonight to have a good time. We'll probably open the phone lines a little later in the show. Let's see what we got here, Brett. Let's see. Glenn might be in a chat room. I doubt it. If anybody sees Glenn in a chat room, let me know. He may pop in there. I don't know. He may just have his phone with him, and might be a little difficult to get on. All right, so let's do this. Let's jump around the room here, and let's pull in Brett out in Wyoming and see what's going on out there. Hey, Brett, come on in here, man. How you doing?
Oh, very good, Tom. It's the weather in Wyoming is the best of the year right now. September and October are they're still not too cold yet, and there are no bugs, and it's just wonderful to be out there. And so I'm out in nature a lot, and I'm up on roofs a lot. I'm doing a little experiment to get ready for winter with my Delta Loop antenna, I might have mentioned some of this before. I have a 40-meter delta loop antenna,
Hmm.
and it tune down the 60. It'll go ahead and tune down the 60 meters, but it doesn't work real well on 80 or at all at 160. So I am working on making a remote controlled loading coil that
Hmm.
will go ahead and make it electrically bigger so that it can get down to those lower bands. And I'm having a real interesting time experimenting with the coil, which is just basically adding a length of wire to the antenna without adding any more space to it, and putting in putting in relays to switch chunks of coil in and out.
Hmm.
And then I'm attaching an auto tuner to the whole thing, a remote auto tuner, so that it can get rid of the inductance of whatever coil I add. So I'm having a lot of fun with that.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you're going to use an auto tuner on it, why are you going to put an inductor in it? Won't the auto tuner just tune it?
The auto tuner can tune some things down to a lower frequency, but not very well, especially when the length you really need is that much longer.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it'll sometimes tune it. It's hit or miss on 80, and it will never get to 160. So I figure by adding that length of wire, I'll make it so that the auto tuner can correct it and tune it all the way down, and then I'll be able to get on the top bands really well.
All right. Well, cool. One of my best, I've got a bunch of different antennas up, from extended double zeps, delta loops, fan dipoles, verticals. My best antenna is the delta loop. That's the best one out there.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I work, I work all the way around the globe. I work New Zealand all the time on 20 watts. It's a fantastic antenna, so I want it to work on all bands. Now the loading coil is going to make it inefficient, but at least I'll be able to tune to those frequencies. I'll be able to get resonance, and that's going to help me.
Yeah.
The,
Um,
the the other thing that's going on this weekend is Barkfest is coming up, which is the Boulder Amateur Radio Club, and they're having a very big hamfest with a big swap meet in at the Boulder Fairgrounds, which aren't in Boulder, Colorado, for some reason. They're in Longmont, Colorado, and so I'm going to be out there, and I might even take some things to sell. I have a lot of extra lightning protection equipment, and I'll probably go down and set up a table and sell some of that.
okay. Well, that's cool. Hey. All right. Well, very good. Hey, maybe we can talk our guest in to
Yeah.
using a 40-meter delta loop, maybe on one of his next deals. Hey guys, let's jump over. Let's go over. Let's everybody meet Carlos. Carlos K9OL. You probably know Carlos as the parachute mobile guy. And I've got a picture. Where's my picture here? Look at that picture of Carlos there. Well, you can't tell much about him, but that's Carlos right there, guys. And look at that. That is a 7300. Don't drop it. Hey, Carlos, come on in here, man. How you doing? And we're so glad you're with us tonight, man.
Funny you should say don't drop it.
Yeah. Hey, you told me a story, man. You told me a story about dropping a radio. Let's hear it. Well, first of all, we'll get that in a minute. We got so much to talk about with you. I gotta put that note down. Drop radio, because I know you dropped a radio. I know you dropped a radio. Okay. So anyway, this is Carlos here, and Carlos, I was in the Air Force. And I don't know why anybody would want to jump out of a perfectly good plane. But I've got a lot of video here we're going to look at in a minute where you jump out the door, man.
So, you were in the Air Force, you know.
Tell me about
There
it.
is no such thing as a perfectly good airplane. It's just airworthy.
Well, I guess that's true. That's true. There's not a perfectly good airplane. You're right about that. I've never thought of it that way.
You know, they come out of the factory and they're already broken. So,
Yeah.
Every time I've flown in a C5, it lands and it needs maintenance. So
A C5. Hey, when I was in the Air Force, the C5 just came out, and I walked under it every morning going to work. C5A Galaxy. I think it had 28 tires on it, something like that. I don't know.
it's a big behemoth of a plane.
Yeah.
And I would love to jump out of it any time. If anybody has it in on that, let me know. I will drive or fly wherever that might be and
Carlos,
jump out of
Carlos, that C5 is so tall you could jump off the tail and open your chute. It's up there, man. It's up there. Well, hey, when did you start? When did you start jumping?
I started jumping in 2011. Got
Let's
my
see, that would
license
make
in
you about
2012.
6 years old.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
I wish I were that young, but you know,
Mm.
I know it doesn't show on the camera very well, but there is a lot of gray in this beard.
You can't see it, man. Okay. Okay. So you've been jumping a while, and it looks like you have fun, and you've added that hobby with a ham radio too. So you're kind of
Yes, sir.
you're living
Yes,
the
sir.
dream, I guess.
I'm certainly living my dream. I don't
Yeah.
know about anybody else's, but I'm certainly living my dream.
Yeah.
Look, I get paid to jump out of perfectly good airplanes and throw people out of perfectly good airplanes. And occasionally, I also play radio. So, what's not to like? It's it's living life at 100%. And as a matter of fact, I'm living at life at 11. What was that movie? Having a mental mind block here. Turn it up to 11.
Living life at terminal velocity.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh,
So, but yeah, it's been a fun journey so far. Michael says I'm living his nightmare. Well, it's okay. Look, what I do is not for everybody, and I recognize that, right? But if it's for you, I'm going to be the instigator that goes, yeah, do it, do it, do it, do it. But I got my ticket in 2019, and I'm not a theory guy,
yeah. I hear you. Yeah, I'm working on one of your videos. Yeah, I hear you.
right?
Go right ahead.
And in the process of learning the things that I needed to learn to pass my tech exam, there's this whole omnidirectional antenna thing that happens. Is supposed to happen with a vertical, and how there's a null underneath you, and how height is might. And I was like, well, I can take this thing very high. Let's see how far I can. Let's see compared ground reach to 14,000 reach, and that's how Parachute Mobile started. It was a scratch and itch. Is there really a null under this antenna? And can I really reach farther if I take it out? If I take it, my antenna that much higher. And as it turns out, there's a null under the antenna, and I can definitely get farther out the higher I am.
Yeah,
Imagine that. Theory and reality actually collide.
Well, I'm sure that you get out really good up there, both, especially on VHF, UHF. HF, man, I have no idea. Now, you were talking about the altitude and stuff. You may not know much about us, but we fly pico balloons around the world. We fly between 40,000 and 50,000 feet with those balloons, and the little 20-meter transmitter transmits almost 6,000 miles, man, from up there. But it's whisper. That's the difference, So I'm interested. I can see how you would have, a handy talk is you're going to have a rubber ducky or an extended rubber ducky or something. But what do you do for HF up there? Do you drop just a single long wire? What do you do?
Well, for HF, inevitably what I end up doing is an infant half wave.
Yeah.
I can't fly an antenna that needs a counterpoise or a ground plane, right?
Right.
And look, to the technical people that are watching this or hearing this later, yes, I know that an infant half wave has a counterpoise, that the coax is that counterpoise. But
Well, you have a coax. You have a coax that's just probably
Exactly.
inches long, right?
The coax I normally fly is 30-foot long, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So it provides enough counterpoise
Yeah.
for the NFED that I don't get any egregious readings in SWR when I'm flying it.
So
I
do you
have-
drop? Do you actually drop 30 foot of coax?
Oh, I dropped, 33 feet of wire and then another 30 foot of coax behind,
Okay, perfect,
behind it.
perfect. Yeah, you got a good infed there.
So,
You're pointing downwards though.
no,
Maybe.
I'm pointing, it's streaming directly behind me, right?
Oh, is it horizontal out there?
Yeah. So
Is that right?
because of the way I'm flying, so the parachute's always flying at a certain speed, right? Whether I'm into the wind or against the wind, the airspeed of the parachute is going to be around 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour, depending on how I'm loading it. So inevitably, that wire flies directly behind me. I've actually added a little bit of a ribbon to the
Yeah,
end of the wire to
yeah.
give it a little bit of drag so that so that it flies a little bit flatter. But normally it might, without the ribbon, it might droop a foot or two.
Uh-huh.
With the ribbon, it just is perfectly flat behind me. Basically, the heaviest part of it is the coax and the transformer for the end fed, and that's what sets the height of the antenna. But basically, from there on, the wire itself flies flat, and
Yeah.
it's a beauty thing. It's to me, it's a beautiful thing to see because I can just look over my shoulder and go, "Yeah, my antenna's back there," and I can see it really well. You can't really see the wire, but you can see the ribbon at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
It just pops out and just flaps in the wind.
Well, the hobby that you're doing, the jumping, of course, is not for someone that does not know what they're doing. And I'm sure there's a lot of safety precautions that you have to be aware of and you have to adhere to. Does the dropping at antenna? And we'll look at a video here in a minute. I think you got it all rolled up in your little pouch there until you actually jump. So it's not out of your pouch when you get out of the plane. Hey, it'd be terrible to get that antenna attached to that airplane and then drag you around for a while, wouldn't it?
Well, the antenna, the wire itself would break if it were attached to the airplane, but I'm also very conscious to keep everything with me so that it doesn't deploy until after I leave the airplane.
Yeah.
Um, I've been fortunate, knock on wood, that I haven't had any incidents, but I'm always prepared for the worst. I approach every jump with a mindset of I'm about to go try to do parachute mobile, but I always expect a malfunction, right?
Uh huh.
So if I'm expecting the malfunction and the malfunction doesn't come, then I get to play radio. And so
Yeah.
far, knock on wood, it hasn't happened, right? I've been very fortunate, but I also take my safety and the safety of those around me very seriously. So I prepare, I set things up for success, right? I'm ready for failure, but I set things up for success because if I do that from the beginning, then I'm increasing my odds of survival, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, just for our viewers here, I ran into Carlos at It was at Shelby, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was at Huntsville Ham Fest.
Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. It was at you went to Shelby, didn't you?
Negative, sir.
You didn't.
Uh,
Well, okay, man. Hey, when you get my age, you don't remember where you were. Yeah,
that's
you're
all
right.
right.
It was Huntsville. It was Huntsville. Yeah, yeah, it
Brett,
was Huntsville. All
Brett
right.
says you can make it out of Twin Leaf. As
Yeah,
a matter of
I
fact, Brett,
remember now. I remember you jogged it. It was Huntsville, and you mentioned to me when you got your license. Who was your first contact when you got your license?
you were my very first HF contact, sir.
Oh man.
Uh, I did a lot of 2 meters and 70 centimeters before that, but I got my upgrade and I was on the hunt for a radio that was affordable. And I just
Yeah.
wasn't finding anything, right? And it happens that I knew that I was going to get an HF rig. So I built a fan dipole for my house without a radio, right?
Uh huh.
I built it. I bought an nano VNA because they were inexpensive. I've caught one on a deal, and I had the antenna set up. I got home, and so I'm on my way to see a customer, and I'm on the repeater, and one of the uh, club members is talking about this Kenwood he has that he needs to sell for the club, and I said, hey, I might be interested in that depending on the price. He said, hit me up whenever you get to wherever you're going. I talked to him. The price was very reasonable. After I got done with my customer, I went and picked it up. When I got home, I literally connected everything together, turned on the radio, and I start spinning the dial on 40 meters. And there you are,
Yeah. Cool.
announcing that the net's going to start in like 5 minutes or something like that. And I'm
Uh huh.
like, I gave my call sign out. You came back. I'm like, well, that's my first HF contact right there.
Oh, cool, man. Hey, wow, I'm honored to have done
So,
that. And you're a really sharp guy. If you can, hey, I've been a ham for 60 years. Back when we started, we didn't have VNAs or antenna analyzers or even SWR meters. We just cut the wire and went with it, and used a light bulb to tune it up with. But you're a pretty sharp guy. If you can work a VNA, I can't even figure out how to work a VNA. That little thing is so complicated. I mean, I've got some antenna analyzers, but that VNA is sitting on a shelf over there. I don't even turn it on.
well, that's the beauty of YouTube, right? You can learn a ton of things on YouTube, and that's actually how I learned how to use the VNA.
Oh man,
there's a fellow with a channel called the Smoking Ape.
Yep.
And the Smoking Ape has
Yeah.
a fantastic set of videos about using your nano VNA, and that's where I learned how to use a VNA. And I had it already. I had a fan dipole for 10, 20, 40, and 80 ready for a radio, just waiting for one. As soon as I got my radio connected up, off to the races we go.
Well, you did good. Let me tell you, it's fairly easy to get a good match with a fan dipole for 2 bands. For 3, it's just a little trouble in the tuning. When you start getting down and try to add that 4th or 5th band, it gets kind of crazy, man. I don't know if
Well,
I don't know if you had the trouble or not, but
I had to take it up and put it down and take it back up a lot.
yeah,
And
yeah,
of course, I found that out. I found exactly what you're talking about out later when a few days later I was again in my car with my mobile station, and I'm on the repeater, and one of the guys says, "Oh, so did you ended up getting that radio?" I said, "Yes." And I got home and I connected it to my fan dipole. And he said, "You built a fan dipole already?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I had it built before I bought the radio." And he said, "Really? You built a fan dipole out of the get-go? That's a real pain in the butt to get done." And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I had nothing but time. I had no idea. I just went and cut the wires and started tuning them. No big deal.
Well, the hard part about a fan dipole is that if you stand near it, it detunes it.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn that I had to separate the elements enough and everything else, but it worked out.
Well, cool. Hey, everybody out there. We're talking with Carlos K9O. Is it OL?
Oh well, yes.
Yeah, or KD9OLN. I mean, if you can look him up under either call under QRZ, and you'll find him. Carlos is, I think, more than world famous. He's a parachute mobile. I've been listening to you for years and following you for years on your jumps and working your radio there. Very cool. Hey, let's pull up a video or something and just look at one of your jumps.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's do that right now. I think I can get it up here. Let's see. I don't know which one, but hey, we're gonna have fun tonight. Let's see.
Red says I can make it at a twin lead. Yes, I've made us an infant
Let's
halfway
see what we
for
got
20.
here.
I should say not an infant halfway, but a J-pole for 20, a Slim Jim for 20, I should say.
Ah,
And he's asking if anything's caught in it before. Nope, nothing has ever caught in it before.
No, this is the wrong
See,
video.
that's not me.
That's not you. That's me. That's me. Okay. Okay. I bet you this is you right here.
One up.
That's gonna be you.
June 29, 2024, Parachute Mobile Jump number 2 is about to take place. Check the antenna I'm taking with me. I've been wanting to do this for a while and the weather hasn't cooperated, so here we are. 2-meter Parachute Mobile with the Farah J 14652. Yes, I'm going to be audacious and attempt to do this on 5.2, see how it goes. The last time I did 5.2 was probably 4 years ago, and turned into a mess, right? But I really want to see how far I can get, and without getting a really big.
Okay, Carlos, I don't like the way that's playing back right now. Let me see if I can pull it off your channel. Is that video on your YouTube channel?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me
It's on my
just
YouTube
go
channel.
there and I'll just play it from there.
Okay, I also have it on my hard drive here.
Yeah,
if that
I think I can
helps.
get it here. Let's see. And
So while you're pulling that up,
yeah,
that antenna, if you're not familiar with that antenna and you do VHF, you need to make yourself familiar with that antenna.
what's
From
the
Canada.
what's the URL going to be?
For the antenna,
No, for your channel here, Kate.
so it's youtube.com/at life at terminal velocity.
Yeah, I remember that now. What was it? Was it? Give me that again. I know
So,
the terminal velocity.
So youtube.com
Yep.
/at life at terminal velocity.
Okay. Yep. Yep. I remember when I looked at your channel there. So let me get it in here. Okay. I got to do a life at.
So that antenna is a neat antenna. It's an antenna made out of Faraday cloth and a ribbon. Okay. And the guy that makes it and sells it is out of Canada. His name is Ben Eddy. Ham Radio Rookie is his YouTube moniker. And it is slick as all get out. It's a 2-meter J pole that weighs like an ounce, and it works so unbelievably well. One wouldn't think that an antenna made out of Faraday cloth would perform because of the width of the cloth and everything else, but he's obviously, making it and selling it, and it works really well.
That might make a good balloon antenna.
Yes, it really would. And it's super light, so it's so feathery. The payload on it is not anything. And I don't know what kind of antenna, what the weight of your pico balloons, the antenna on that is, but
The antenna, the total antenna, a 20-meter dipole, weighs 1.8 grams.
oh, that's a gimme.
That's less than a nickel. It's made out of a wire the size of number 36 wire, about the size of the wire on your head. All right, life
Yeah.
at terminal velocity.
Yes, sir. If you look in the chat, I threw a link in our chat.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding it here.
I'll also throw it in the main chat for tonight. There we go. I don't know if
Yeah, let me try it
iOS.
again. Let me try it again.
I see it.
Okay, I didn't have the at in front.
Yep, that's a YouTube thing.
Yeah, I gotta get it this time. I didn't have that sign there. There we go. All right, let's just pull something up here. I'm gonna
Hi,
put you on.
I am Carlos, KD9OLN.
There you are,
and this
Carlos.
channel is
Okay,
primarily
so-
about two things.
Let's look at some of your videos here. All right, we got some video. You can see them here. Which one's a good one here, Carlos?
Let's see. Go over to your far right there. It says where if height is might, then I have the tallest antenna in the Midwest. That should be a good one.
This one here. Okay, we'll try it.
Yeah.
Let's just see what it looks like, and we'll see if I can adjust this picture a little better.
Jump number 2 at Skydive Tecumseh today. We're doing 2 meters on this one. 15-minute call. All my gear is ready. The drop zone is pretty chilled out for today. There's a big event happening a couple of states away, and a lot of people are over there, so we have a very chill drop zone here today, which means a little more relaxed for us to be able to do what we do. Have a little bit of fun, parachute mobile. See you guys in the loading area.
That is super neat. You're so fun.
Just waiting for the plane. I think we're on a 3-minute call now. Gonna get a little bit of fuel over there,
You're the man, Tim.
and then it's our turn. You guys up there. over 9,400 feet. A few more minutes. Time to go CQ. Whoa, baby! Look at the pilot go, man! Wow! That pilot takes his job seriously, man! Okay, let's open you up. And the Faraday came out on deployment. It's cool. Let's turn it on. All right. CQ Parachute Mobile, CQ Parachute Mobile, CQ Parachute Mobile. This is Kilo 9er Oscar Lima. I am Parachute Mobile over Napoleon, Michigan, 11,600 feet CQ.
Kilo Bravo 8 Mike. Kilo 9 Oscar Lima. Kilo Oscar 4 Juliet Charlie Lima.
Juliet Charlie Lima, come back.
Yeah, good evening, or good afternoon, excuse me. Currently, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try again, over.
Charlie Lima, come back. Somebody stepped on you.
Good afternoon, Kilo Oscar 4 Juliet Charlie Lima.
Kilo Oscar 4 Juliet Charlie Lima.
Just past exit number 3, going southbound near the Ohio line.
Outstanding. Well, I have you 5-9 over Napoleon, Michigan. I am 10,800 feet above the dirt, 73.
Absolutely. Kilo Bravo Lima out.
Kilo 9 Oscar Lima, QRZ.
Whiskey Alpha 8, Mike Echo Alpha, Mike.
Whiskey Alpha 8, Mike Echo Alpha, QSL.
Roger, Roger. Name is Bill, located not far from you over here in Hanover Township. Sounded good over there in Napoleon, or about Napoleon, I should say.
QSL, sir, 5-9 over Napoleon, 10,300 feet, sir, 73 QRZ.
Alpha 8, Oscar uniform.
Got a copy at N8 DKW November 8 Delta Kilo Whiskey Dave.
Ending uniform, come back.
Alpha 8, Oscar uniform. Name is Tony, looking Lucky, Ohio.
Hey, Tony, 5-9 over Napoleon, 9,900 feet, 73.
Thank you. 73.
Yeah. November 8 Delta Kilo Whiskey, N8 DKW Dave.
DKW, come back.
Yeah, good afternoon there, sir. This is N8 DKW Dave, Tilly, Ohio.
DKW, 5-9 over Napoleon, 9,500 feet, 73.
73, sir. Fly and enjoy the wonderful weather.
Yes, sir. 73 QRZ.
With Kilo Tango Mike.
So, Echo 8, Golf, Bravo Foxtrot.
Kilo Echo 8 Golf, Bravo Fox, 5-9 over Napoleon, 9,100 feet.
Kilo Echo 8, Golf, Bravo
Kilo Echo 8, station 5-9 over Napoleon, 8,850 feet.
Delta Mike Mobile.
Bravo Foxtrot.
Delta Mike Mobile, come back.
Whiskey 8, Whiskey Delta Mike Mobile.
Whiskey 8, Whiskey Delta Mike, 5-9 over Napoleon, 8,550 feet.
All right, Ottoville, Ohio, Northwest Ohio, Ottoville, Ohio. Whiskey 8, Whiskey Delta Mike out.
73 Kilo 9er, Oscar Lima, QRZ.
Whiskey, India, Detroit. I am mobile here in
All right, I think I heard a station in Detroit. Station in Detroit, come back.
Norway 8,
N8.
extra horsepower, N8 EHP, Detroit.
N8, EHP, K9OL, 59 over Napoleon, 7,900 feet.
And you're 60 overnight in Detroit. Oh, Echo 8, Tango, Echo Victor, Kalamazoo, Michigan.
AK Zoo, come back with your call, please.
Kilo, Echo 8, Tango, Echo Victor.
Kilo Echo 8, Tango Echo Victor, 59 over Napoleon, 7,600 feet, 73 QRZ.
Kilo, Bravo, Mike.
Roger, Roger. Thank you for coming back. Safe landing, 7-3.
I think I heard a KB8M, QSL.
QSL, Kilo, Bravo, 8, Mike. 59 in Michigan.
Hey Doug, good afternoon, man. I'm glad you got the second call here. 5-9 over Napoleon, 7,200 feet. How am I sounding?
Sound good, Carlos, 73.
KDLI, portable.
Portable station, go ahead.
KDLI, portable.
Portable station, I'm getting that you're portable, but I'm not getting your call. Give me your call once more, please.
Kilo 8, Echo Lima, India. KAELI, portable 8, Indian.
All right, Kilo Echo 8 ELI, 5-9 over Napoleon, 6,700 feet, 73.
70. Whiskey Echo 8, Tango Oscar Mike.
Tango Oscar Mike, give me your whole call once more, please.
Whiskey Echo 8, Tango Oscar Mike, WE8TOM.
WE8TOM, 5-9 over Napoleon, 6,450 feet.
Thank you.
73 QRZ.
Kilo, 78, Romeo, Delta, Juliet.
India.
Kilo Charlie 8 Romeo Delta Juliet QSL.
Yes, sir. Glad to work you and good signal here into Toledo, Ohio.
Whiskey Alpha 8, Charlie Echo Whiskey.
Whiskey Alpha 8 Charlie Echo Whiskey, 5-9 at 6,000 feet, sir.
Are you in an air balloon or an airplane?
Neither. I am Parachute Mobile. Parachute Mobile over Napoleon, Michigan, 5,900 feet right now.
Oh, very good, very good. Trying to see where Napoleon, Michigan is.
Check it out on Google Maps in a bit. 73 QRZ.
Have a good year. Whiskey 8, Kilo Juliet Romeo.
Kilo Juliet Romeo. Give me your call once more, please.
Whiskey Kilo Juliet Romeo.
I have whiskey something Juliet Romeo. Come back.
Whiskey 8, Kilo Juliet Romeo, W8KJR.
W8KJR, 5-9 over Napoleon, 5,200 feet.
QSL 53 cars.
73 Kilo Niner Oscar Lima. QRZ.
Whiskey 8, Romeo Bravo Whiskey.
Whiskey 8 Romeo Bravo Whiskey, 5-9 over Napoleon, 5,000 feet.
QSL get you 5-9 in Lansing.
Outstanding. 73 QRZ.
Delta 8, Kilo.
I have a Kilo something 8. Come back.
Kilo, Foxtrot 8, Bravo, Romeo, Delta.
Kilo Foxtrot 8 Bravo Romeo Delta, 5-9 over Napoleon, 4,700 feet.
599 in the Grand Ledge here.
Outstanding. 73 QRZ. CQ Parachute Mobile, CQ Parachute Mobile, CQ Parachute Mobile. This is Kilo 9 Oscar Lima. I am Parachute Mobile over Napoleon, Ohio, 4,300 feet. Last few calls before I got to call it quits.
Alpha, Bravo, 8, X-Ray Hotel.
Kilo 9 Oscar.
Alpha Bravo 8, something, come back.
Alpha, Bravo, 8, X-Ray Hotel.
Alpha Bravo 8 X-Ray Hotel, 5-9 over Napoleon, 4,000 feet.
You said Ohio, are you in Ohio or Michigan?
Napoleon, Michigan, sir, 4,000 feet.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. You're NADKW, the weakest station in the nation, Dave in Toledo.
73 QRZ. Last call for Kilo 9 Oscar Lima, Parachute Mobile. Last call for Kilo 9 Oscar Lima, Parachute Mobile over Napoleon, 3,500 feet. Last call.
WA8MEA, still hearing you. Sugar Mike. Kilo Echo.
W8, come back.
Yeah, Whiskey Alpha 8, Mike Echo Alpha over here in Hanover Township. Just thought I'd tell you, still hear you, Mike.
Outstanding. 73 QRZ. I'm at 3,200 feet. I have time for one more call and then I'm done.
This is Kilo Echo 8, Tango Foxtrot Mike.
Kilo Echo 8 Tango Foxtrot Mike, you are my last call. 73, 3,000 feet QRZ and QRT.
Get out your call.
Kilo Niner Oscar Lima. Kilo Niner Oscar Lima.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a safe flight.
All right, time to power you off. Well, what do you think of that? 2 meters, pretty hot. Pretty hot action in 2 meters this afternoon. Let's hope that the rest of the bands behave just as well.
All right, that was an exciting adventure there, Carlos. I like that, man.
It's a lot of fun, I have to admit that.
Just a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you jumped at, I think, around 14,000.
Yes, sir.
Isn't the oxygen a little thin at 14,000?
It is, but I am not above 10,000 feet long enough for it to matter.
Yeah.
If I were extended time up in above 10,000 feet, then I need a supplemental oxygen. But with as short a time as I spend up there, it's no big deal. Once you get below 10,000 feet, the density it's still the same density, whether you're at ground level or whether you're at 14,000 feet, percentage-wise. It's just obviously thinner air, so you get less O2 into your bloodstream.
Well,
But as long as you don't spend an extended amount of time above 10,000 feet, you're fine.
I saw you had a little gauge on the right of the video there, feet per, I guess your descent
My
feet,
descent rate,
feet, descent rate feet per minute or something. I before I saw it, I tried to do a little calculation. I was trying to figure. I figured you were doing about 1,200 feet a minute. I don't know. Was it?
It's in the neighborhood of 1,000 to 1,150.
Yeah, about 1,000
or so.
minutes. So you're up quite a while up there.
Oh yeah, it's lovely. I've toyed with the idea of getting an even bigger parachute because the bigger, so it's a matter of mass versus wingspan, right? So the bigger the ratio, think about it SWR, right? If I'm at 1-to-1 wing loading, so wing size to weight under the wing, then the descent rate is X. And if I'm at 1.5 on that, then the descent rate is faster. And if I'm at 0.8, the descent rate is slower, right? So I've toyed with the idea of going to 190 or a 210. I'm not quite ready to spend that kind of money right now. A new system would be in the order of about $9,000, and I just don't have that kind of money to burn.
Well, it just made me think. I've got a little experience with parachutes myself. I went. What is it? Parasailing behind a boat. I thought we probably got up to 300 feet, man. Probably got up to about 300 feet. And what I noticed up there was everything was so quiet.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
Pin drop quiet. It's beautiful.
It was just nothing. And that was at 200 feet. I can imagine what it was like, for your drop there. Also, I have one other experience in a parachute. I was in a parachute for 14 days, and actually in a survival school, and we used that for our tent. We hung it under a rotten tree limb, which broke off and it fell on us. I won't tell you anymore. I won't tell you anymore, but that's my experience with parachutes.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That doesn't tickle.
Yeah. So, hey, tell me here, I hear rumors. No, they're not rumors. I heard it from the horse's mouth. I think you dropped your radio and telephone once, didn't you?
Yeah, actually at Huntsville Hamfest this year.
Yeah. Tell us about dropping your radio and your telephone and how they came out, man,
So I'll tell you that, straight up that I own the only impact-rated ID-50 in the world.
Yeah.
So in that video, you saw my radio bag, one of my radio bags, and that's the same bag I was using in Huntsville. And I had my ID 50 in there, and I had my cell phone and a Meshtastic node, and that bag is intentionally like I have a buckle on it that's intentionally meant to unlatch fast. The idea being, if I need to eject that thing, I need to eject it now, right? It's an issue of my life over whatever else. And what I didn't realize is that somehow while I was sitting in the airplane, the buckle got deflected.
Yeah.
So I left the airplane, and and by the way, this video hasn't been published. I want to say this video comes out next week. Uh, the relative wind is whipping by at 120 miles an hour, and goodbye bag. So the bag with the radio on my cell phone and my Meshtastic node went for a solo skydive while I freaked out. Um, as it happens, my cell phone has the ability for me to track it. And as soon as I landed, I grabbed, the very computer I'm talking to you on, and went online and searched for where my phone is at, and it's over that way a couple of miles, and let me go over that way. And the people at the drop zone tried to figure out why I'm like, frantic panic. Because my concern is, when that bag left me, and my concern was let it land in an open field, let it not hurt anything or anyone, right? If everything gets damaged in there, I don't care. I can replace. It's not fun to replace that much money, right?
Hmm.
But I'm not. It's not going to harm anyone, hopefully. And I got very, very lucky. It landed on someone's roof, and I was able to retrieve it. The radio was perfectly fine, and I mean, it didn't even have a scratch or the slightest bit of a crack on it. Okay, the antenna got scuffed up against the shingles. That was it. Now my cell phone, on the other hand, my cell phone didn't fare so well. My cell phone actually worked 100%, but the back of the cell phone is made of glass, and well, it shattered. I happen to have a warranty, an extended warranty on that cell phone, so as soon as I landed, I was able to start the process of getting a replacement. And sure enough, um, I placed a replacement request on that phone while on my, while I was at the drop zone. As soon as I realized, oh wow, this is definitely a done deal, uh, and got confirmation that a replacement was on its way. That was a Saturday in Huntsville,
Hmm.
and when I got home on Monday evening, my new cell phone was waiting for me.
That's cool. Now, on your warranty,
I'm gonna
did you have to say I accidentally dropped it for 14,000 feet?
I'm sending a request to share something.
Oh,
I'll show
let's see.
you.
Let me.
I'll show you a picture.
Okay, allow that. Let me allow that. Okay. Okay.
They don't require you to, but they do have an item where they say, you know, can you tell us what happened? And I said it fell out from 14,000
Let's
feet.
see. Let me see if I can get a better picture of that. Hang on. Leave it right there. Let me select that. There we go. Okay. Well, yeah, I would say it shattered it back there, but
I,
yeah.
but believe it or not, the front screen was perfectly fine. Uh, that's the extent of the damage. The cameras were still working. I took lots of pictures and lots of video with it,
Uh-huh.
from Saturday and Sunday and Monday. So I have to say I'm obviously an Apple fanboy, and it's the back didn't survive, but the actual phone worked just fine.
Well, the Apple Find My Phone feature came through.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did. Yes, it did. And I have to thank the lovely people in Vinmont whose yard or house it landed on, and I you know obviously go to them and say, hey, Liz, I'll knock on their door. They're not home, and eventually they get home, and said, "This is what happened. Do you mind?" And they said, "No, go ahead." And sure enough, I go to their backyard and it's on their roof.
Well, I know
And
you were relieved that it didn't fall on someone. That could,
I was very relieved that it didn't
yeah,
fall on someone. And
yeah.
I tried giving them my contact info, and they were like, the lady was like, "No, Shug, it's okay. Go on." I'm like, "No, ma'am, really, here's my contact information just in case." Like, "No, Shug, just it's okay,
So
hon. Go
now, what
on." I'm
was
like,
it laying on top of the house when you found it, or was it on the
"Yep,
ground?
it was under gutters."
Yeah, in the gutter.
Uh,
And you, what did the homeowner think when you were there? Did they kind of question this guy
well,
crazy or?
they were like, their question was, "Wait a minute, you guys, the parachuters don't normally jump this far out." I'm like, "No, we don't, but the wind carried it."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it
Oh,
got out at 14,000 feet, and the wind currents are, I don't know how much the viewers know. I know that you, Tom, know because you were in the Air Force, but the jet stream is,
yeah,
it's not, we're not quite in jet stream area at 14,000 feet, but we're
right.
pretty close, and the winds are whipping up there normally.
Yeah.
And the winds just carried it off a couple of miles off course, and uh, yeah, they were perplexed. They were like, "You guys don't normally jump over here," and I'm like,
So
"We did."
from me looking at your chute, I assume there you have a way to guide it or steer it somewhat, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So the parachute itself is
Yeah.
it's a ram air parachute. It is a flat wing, so it behaves just like any other wing would. Um, and I can deflect the right side and turn to the right. I can deflect the left side and turn to the left, and I can deflect both and engage brakes, if you will, or slow down to the point. And that's how we land.
Well, you were pretty busy. You were pretty busy making contacts. Did you just free float down, or were you actually steering it while you were making those
I was
contacts?
actually steering it if you see me, one hand, my right
Mm-hmm.
hand is over my shoulder on the right rear riser, and I'm pulling to the right, and I'm navigating as I'm looking around,
Yeah.
and I'm making nothing but right turns up there at that point in time because I'm using my left hand to key the PTT and to my handheld camera is on a glove that goes over my hand, so it's is aimed at my face and it's also engaging the PTT, and so I have my right hand handy to make corrections in flight. I can also fly the parachute in the harness, so I don't actually need my hands to fly the parachute. I need my hands to land it. So if I lean to the right, it will turn to the right. If I lean to the left, it'll turn to the left. If I stretch out on it, it'll actually make the tail end curl a bit and slow down. And so you can manipulate the way the wing flies
Well, that's
with
cool.
with your body in the harness.
It's cool that you can do something. They're gonna put a steering wheel on that thing pretty soon, man, where you'll be able just to
Well, we have it. It's called the toggles, right?
maneuver
right,
around up there, man. Yeah.
right and left side, and you just fly them how you need to fly it. So
All right, we've
yeah,
we've got
fly-
some people. We've got people on here from Huntsville. What part of Huntsville did the phone land in? North, south, east, west?
in Vinmont. So it landed in Vinmont. Vinmont is south of Huntsville by about
Ah.
40 or 50 miles.
Okay.
Uh, he
We've
says,
got Bill.
W-
Bill's on here. WB8ELK. He lives a few
lives
miles north of Vinmont.
So, Bill, if you're familiar with the Coleman Airport, the bag landed, I should say, about 2 miles west of the Vinmont Airport, or the Coleman Airport. Um, so,
Wow.
yeah, the very, very nice folks whose house it landed on, and we carry liability insurance for a reason, right? And I was
Yeah.
ready to give them my contact info, and they were like, "No, it's okay. There's no damage. We can see that there's no damage. It's okay." And I'm thankful for that.
All right. So let's look at a couple. I've got a couple pictures here I pulled up off your site. Let's just look through those. And I think was this Huntsville or was this Dayton right here?
This is in Dayton.
Okay.
All right, so now we're talking about something that's near and dear to me.
Yeah.
And that is the youth program that the ARRL has, right? Look, let's fair item, okay? And that is not everybody loves the 8 overall, and that's fine, okay? However, they have a fine youth program, and Steve Goodgame had an event at Dayton for the kids called the Youth Rally, and I said, Steve, I'm going to make a jumps exclusive for you guys, for your kids, and this is one of the kids making a contact with me at Hamvention. There's a drop zone a few miles away, and I go to the drop zone and make a few jumps there when I can, when the weather permits it. And I try to dedicate a jump to just the youth rally. And the only jump I got to make this year was for the youth rally. And this is one of the many kids that got a chance to make that contact. So, whether you like the ARRL or not, you have to admit that what they're doing with the youth is bringing more amateurs into our ranks. And, even if only 1% of them stay in, that's 1% more than we had, right? So when I'm older and I'm not able to jump anymore, maybe what I'm doing now will inspire one of these kids to get their skydiving license, and then I'll be able to make contacts with them while they're parachute mobile and I'm on the ground, right?
Yeah, let's take a couple more pictures here. Let's see. Well, we saw that in the video. Looks like you're...
Yep, that's one of the screen captures from one of the videos. That's obviously me playing. I have my microphone in my hand and I'm calling CQ.
Yeah.
I'm not just a skydiver. I'm also a skydiving
I don't
instructor.
know.
This is one of our students and another instructor on the opposite side, and I won't disclose who the student is but I will tell you that this student is an amateur. That's as far as I'll go.
Well, I don't think you want to butt heads, probably.
No, you don't butt heads, right?
Yeah,
But this is what's called AFF, Accelerated Freefall. This is how you learn how to skydive. And this is one of our students learning how to skydive in the process of getting the license.
That's cool. Hey, here you are with your HF radio, the 7300. It's kind of good that you didn't drop the 7300. It might have not. It might have not come out as good.
You are not kidding.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is my 7300. That is the first time I took the 7300 in the sky. I actually sent that very picture to Ray from ICOM, and he said, "You did what? You took a base station up? What is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
Now, as an addendum to all this, I have adjusted my protocols to address the problem with the buckle. Okay, so now I have double safeties.
Well, that's
so
good.
If it happens again, it'll just dangle from me and it won't fly away.
Well, that's good.
Let's be clear. I learned from my mistakes, and now I have an extra safety in the mix.
So, I think at those altitudes, or like with our pico balloons, I know we use APRS on VHF. I think typically a couple 100 miles, 250 miles might be your VHF range. Is that what you saw on VHF? Of course, you'd be a lot lower than what we were when we're flying at 40 or 45,000. And also, what about the HF? How did the HF work up there?
HF works fantastic. APRS, the longest APRS contact I have is 332 miles, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then on voice, I want to say the longest contact I have is 210 miles for VHF.
Yeah.
On HF, I think the longest contact I have is in Brazil.
That's cool.
So, not anything record-setting. I mean, I can talk to Brazil on 10 meters from the ground. That's not a big deal, right? But it's neat to be able to see how the altitude changes the way the wave propagates, right? So on a day where the maximum usable frequency may be, 19 megahertz, if I go on 10 meters and I'm still able to hit Brazil, that means that my altitude actually matters, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's really neat to be able to take theory to reality and be able to go, yeah, antenna height does matter, and antenna height is might.
So, someone asked earlier about the antenna that you were using on VHF. It's that I've seen it. Somebody makes it. It's like a cloth type.
Yeah.
J,
So
what is it, like a J pole, but it's cloth.
yep. It's a J pole made out of Faraday cloth. Made by Ben Eady or Eddie. I don't know how he says his last name. Um, excuse me. He is ham radio rookie on YouTube. His company that actually makes his company, meaning him, right? Because he's the one making them, is VF Comms, and he's in Canada and makes these things for 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and 6 meters. And yes, I have all three. I've bought them. They are fantastic. My 6 meter came in literally today.
Uh-huh.
So the next time I go to the drop zone, weather permitting and workload permitting, I'm going to be making 6 meter jumps, taking that antenna in the sky and seeing how it does on 6 meters.
No. That
I'm
Faraday
sure. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, that Faraday cloth is cool stuff, by the way. Used to be used in what was called the Tempest program, where the government was very worried about electronic eavesdropping and had to shield things. And it really if you ever want radio waves not to propagate, wrap something in that. It will work. But it also works very well as an antenna. It just makes sense.
You
Well,
know, Ben has a lot of interesting ideas on antennas. This is not his first antenna. He's made on his YouTube channel. He's made a lot of very neat, interesting antennas, and it just happens that one day he was apparently bored and decided he wanted to try making a J-pole out of Faraday cloth. And
yeah.
man, it works really well, and it's so light. Obviously, not as light as a gram, 1.6 grams, but if you're like from me, where I have a backpack and I carry a radio with a bunch of stuff in it, and like saving a couple ounces matters, right? If I'm going on a 6 or 8 mile hike, saving a couple ounces matters, because it's the difference between, if I save a couple ounces in everything I take, it means I can take an extra bottle of water, and I would rather have the extra water. Right?
Yeah.
When
Well,
I carry weight,
there's probably a regulation or a rule or a law about this, but maybe you should think about marketing a parachute with the antenna built in the rope that goes up to the chute.
That
On our
would be-
pico balloons, we fly half the dipole goes up the rope, to the balloon, and the other half hangs below. You could actually build an antenna in your chute there.
I could, but I won't.
Oh, I
So-
got an even better idea. Hey, Brett, we were talking about delta loops and loops. I'm looking at that chute behind him here. He could actually line the edges with a wire and make that put a loop up there, man.
I could put a delta loop up, right? So the reason I won't is because the items in the parachute system have to follow what's called a TSO, a technical service order,
Yeah,
and that's approved by the FAA.
right.
And if I change it, that's on me, right? The manufacturers don't care. But if
Yeah.
I change it, that's on me. And if anything happens,
Yeah.
then
Oh, yeah.
because I changed the TSO item, all of it comes back to me, right? So then my liability insurance doesn't cover me, and I'm not doing that, right? I have the reason I have liability insurance is in the event something bad happens, I'm
Sure.
covered.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if I violate the TSO, then my liability insurance goes bye-bye, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, any other questions for Carlos in the chat room here that maybe we missed reading earlier?
So there's a question from Paul. Do you notice any changes in the signals from Yagis or verticals from when you're just starting to maybe halfway down, and maybe first when you're too far above the vertical? So yes, believe it or not, things that I have found that are interesting, even though I'm flying a vertical when I'm doing VHF, most of the time I'm flying a vertical, not always. Like for example, when I'm flying the Faraday, I'm flying it horizontal because it's just streaming behind me horizontally. It doesn't seem to matter. I had a guy get a contact with me across Lake Michigan, and he was on a horizontal uh, polarization, and I was on a vertical polarization. He was 5'9".
Yeah.
And so the 20 dB offset apparently doesn't matter as much as you go up in altitude. The other part is I have found that even though end-fed half waves are supposed to be omnidirectional in the frequency that they're built for, they are absolutely not omnidirectional. I've had it multiple times where I'm flying let's say I'm flying north, and I hear you 5'9", and I realize, oh look, I need to turn 90 degrees to the right to navigate to where I need to be. I'll turn 90 degrees to the right, and you disappear, and then you disappeared. I couldn't finish the contact with you, and then I turned it another 90 degrees to go into my holding pattern, and there you are again. So even though on the ground they're supposed to be omnidirectionals, at least up high, NFEDs have a directionality to them.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
One other thing which I mentioned in the chat, which is a cool thing you could do, is if you have that fabric and you have a sheet of it, you could make a slot antenna. And the cool thing about a slot antenna is that the radiation pattern, the polarization is perpendicular to the slot. So if you have a vertical slot in a piece of cloth that you're wearing or that you're dangling, then you get horizontal polarization, which is perfect for transmitting from the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it works really well. I haven't taken a slot antenna with me yet. It's it's some of the list of things to play with, but yeah, it's I'm limited on what antennas I can take because I can't take things that require ground plane. I just like people go, when are you going to take your DX Commander? I'm like, I can't because
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
I
That'd
can't
be a
take
lot
a
to
mast
carry.
with me,
Yeah.
right? And then even if I take a mast, I don't have the time to set up the mast. And even if I did, then how do I set up the ground plane for it? I just don't, right?
Question in the chat room is your HF antenna. It was a infed. He dropped some
Infed half
an
wave.
infed, and he dropped about 30 feet of coax and 30 feet of wire, and that's your infed.
Yeah, 32 feet of wire. So
Yeah.
my primary antennas for HF are the Pactena NFED half wave mini for 20, the K6ARK I have cut for 12, I think, and the KM4 ACK is my 40-meter antenna. I try to fly an antenna that's resonant in the frequency that I'm going with. I know that my 40-meter NFED half wave will work in 20. I know that. I've done it. But at the same time, A, it changes the radiation pattern on it, and B, is that much more wire that I have to unspool before I'm able to get on the air. And, seconds matter, right? So if I spend an extra minute unspooling wire when I'm unspooling 66 feet instead of unspooling 33 feet, that means one or two fewer contacts. And, my objective is to make as many contacts as I can while I'm up there. The other, before, I'm sure someone will ask it, or if they haven't already, when do you stop? I stop at 3,000 feet. I have near zero tolerance for that. And I say near zero because I've violated my own rules before for special events. So if I knew, for example, if I was using an HT, like I was using at Hamvention, no, I was using my 705 at Hamvention, and I was flying an antenna that was draping under me, and I don't have to recover it before I land. I can take it down lower than 3,000 feet, and I had a bunch of kids waiting, so I wanted to get all the kids done. We started the jump. We were on a frequency that had been published. A lot of people were on it, and they were trying to make contact, even though I made a very clear call to just the youth, and we had to go to our backup frequency. So I burned 4,000 feet of the jump trying to get through to the kids, right?
Yeah.
So once we went to the backup frequency, now I'm at 6,000 feet. If my knockoff altitude is 3,000, I only have time for so many contacts. And I know there's a big group of kids. So I want to say at the end of the day, 2 kids didn't get their QSO that day. So I felt bad for those 2 kids, but at the same time, I also have to put a priority in a safe landing, right? Um, because I want to be able to, do this again. Um, so I've violated my own rules in that event, right? When I can mitigate the issues. But 3,000 feet is my knockoff altitude. You know, that's when I go. The rest of this skydive is for me to,
Yeah.
enjoy the view a little bit more and to have a safe landing set up for my pattern and land.
So hey, I queued up another little segment here of you using the 7300 on one of your jumps, and it shows you taking the wire out and everything. Let's look at that real quick.
Sure, bring it on.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. This is just a segment, and guys, you can go to Carlos's YouTube channel at life. What is it? Life after
Life.
terminal velocity.
Life at terminal velocity.
And he put it in the chat room here. Okay, let's look at this right here. So this is kind of cool. This is using the 7300. Let me cue it up here.
Well, this is a gamble. I'm not sure if I can do 6 meters, but we're going to find out.
Oh, this is 6 meters.
Here goes the wire.
So it's a 12-meter wire, but it's a 6-meter setup on the antenna. So that's my K6ARK.
Okay. Developed a knot somehow. Even without a knot.
I have I normally keep that
Okay.
very well spooled, but for some reason it just
Transformer?
got tangled. And there's a transformer at the end of the feed line. And there's my feed line, right? I went to this feed line very specifically so that the people that are flying behind me can see that I'm towing
you
something.
on?
And
Yeah.
they shouldn't come anywhere near me.
Right.
Okay. Turn off this lock. Kilo 9er, Oscar Lima testing. Ooh, super high SWR. So we're gonna go to menu, set, other, emergency, tutor, okay. And start. Kilo 9er, Oscar Lima, parachute mobile over Napoleon, Michigan, calling CQ 10,000, 200 feet CQ.
Kilo Bravo 8, Mike.
KB8M, good afternoon, Doug.
Hey, good job there, Carlos. Coming in real good here in Michigan. 73, have fun.
73, Doug, we'll catch you down.
Okay, that was 6 meters. I was thinking that was your HF, but still.
Yeah, I have a couple of videos up where
Uh-huh.
you can actually see me unspooling my Pactena. You can see me unspooling my KM4 ACK. Both of those are unwinders. And it takes some time to unspool all that wire, right?
Yeah.
So, every, like I said before, every moment that setup takes is one less moment that I have to make a contact. So I try to fly an antenna that is resonant for the frequency I'm on, so that
Yep.
it makes my playtime a little bit better.
You could just take a long wire and a tuner up there with you, and
Well,
Figure out
I really could.
Yeah.
The 7300 has a built-in tuner and works really well. I have the tuner for the 705, and that also works really well. So it's not out of the
yeah, but I'm
question that I might
talking
take one.
an external tuner. Add that to your rig there, Get you a little bit bigger bag there, and put you a, MFJ
Well,
manual tuner in there, and
It was
Yeah.
a struggle to get a bag that would fit
Oh.
the 7300.
and you can also put a artificial ground. They make an artificial ground unit, kind of like a tuner. You can set that in there. You can tune your ground and you can tune the antenna.
Interesting. I hadn't seen those yet.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of battery were you using? The power of the 7300, and how much power were you putting out?
That's a Bioenno 12 amp hour, and I'm putting 100 watts out.
400 watts. Wow.
I've ran that same radio on 50 watts before. Actually, in the very first jump I made with that radio, I started on 50 watts. And the reason I wanted to be able to fly that radio is because I love my 705, but even with an external battery at 10 watts, it was very noticeable that I wasn't getting as many contacts as I was getting when I was flying a 100-watt rig. I was flying a 706 Mark II-G before. And it was like, well, I'll bring it down to 50 watts so that my battery lasts a little bit longer. But the reality of it is that I'm only up there for 15 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that 12 amp hour battery is going to last for 3 hours of heavy contacts. I can make several jumps in a day on a single charge and be fine. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to crank it up. I was having issues on 50 watts, cranked it up, contacts went right through the roof again. I'm like, yeah, I know we're supposed to use the lowest power required, but for me, the lowest power required is 100 watts when I have it.
All right, well, Carlos, hey, thanks for coming and being with us tonight. Hey, we're going to move on to another couple of announcements we've got. And stick around with us if you want to. We'll probably be on here another 20 minutes, I would imagine, before we close the show down. But you're welcome to stick around and comment and join in the show if you want to. Or if you've got something to do, just go do it, man. So thank you again, and I think people have your website in the chat room. They also have heard it announced, so maybe some new people will be going there and looking at all your videos. But thanks again
thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks again for coming on here with us tonight. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. Hey, we'll be back in just a moment, and we got some announcements to make, and we got some hurricane stuff going on, and all kinds of stuff here we'll talk about here in a minute. So we'll be right back. Keep your competitive contesting edge with ICOM. Our high-powered base stations cut through the pile-ups, letting you work the bands and record those contacts. Contests from the comfort of your home or remotely with the RSBA1 app. Heard it, worked it, logged it. ICOM heard the call and has answered. The ICPW2 is here. Take your contesting experiences to the next level with ICOM's industry-first linear amplifier, which includes DPD, digital pre-distortion, and a built-in 2x6 automatic antenna selector for SO2R, which is single operator 2 radio operation. With the IC7610, faint signals are no longer challenging for DXers and contesters. This high-performance SDR radio changed the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. The high-powered base station features an RF direct sampling system, 110 dB RMDR, that can pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals, an independent dual receiver, dual digit select, and more. This is the SDR receiver that everybody wants. For more information, contact www.icomamerica.com/lineup/products/IC-7610. Okay, and we're back, and I'm just looking at the chat room there. Bill, you said you got a note from Pastor Jeff there in Tuckasegee in North Carolina. I want to talk a little about North Carolina here. Our friend Jeff, he's a ham. He lives about 1 mile from our home in North Carolina, in western North Carolina. Our home is up on the side of a mountain, so we were not in a flood or affected in any way like that. But as you guys know, if you've been watching any of the videos, many of the little towns in western North Carolina and also in Tennessee have just washed away, and bridges have washed out, roads have washed away, so it's pretty serious over there. I've got a audio site here you can listen to, and I've been listening to it for the last couple of days. This is on what is it? Broadcastify, and it has a great 2-meter repeater. I guess it's 2-meter repeater. They're doing a lot of traffic. You'll hear a lot of things from people loading up mule trains to take supplies in by mule, airdrops. Where can I get gas? We're trapped. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I'm gonna put that link in the chat room here, and I'm gonna try to put it in the chat room if I can just find my. If I can find my notepad. I had it saved. Oh, yeah, that's not it. Let's see what I've got here. Maybe I've got it saved. I don't know if that's it or not. I think that's it. Yeah, that link right there will get you. Oh, hey. Yeah, that link. A lot of stuff pop up when you don't want it to pop up. All right, so that link there will bring you the audio in. Just click on the play button, and you'll hear a lot of health and welfare and all kinds of stuff. There's so many people volunteering and coming in with private helicopters to try to bring food in. Guys, they're pretty isolated in western North Carolina, particularly where our home is over there, and. But people are surviving, and there's all kinds of video. If you'll go to YouTube and just look at some of the videos, there are people where a grocery store open and the line. There may be 1,000 people in line to go in the grocery store just to get bread or milk or eggs or anything like that. There are supplies being sent out. The government is issuing MREs for people. They're giving them several MREs and water. There is no water in most places over there. The electricity is starting to come back in some areas. There is no communications. In most places, there are a few cell sites that have come back up. Most are still down. So listen on that link right there, and you'll hear a lot of activity. Now, I think they were going to shut the net down about 9 o'clock tonight. I don't know if it's still on or not, but during the day, it's jumping with a lot of activity. And they're bringing in a lot of Starlink internet systems to try to get people some communication. So hopefully that'll help just a little bit there. Let me see if I got.
I've lived through many a hurricane, and it's not a fun situation to be in.
Yeah.
So if you're in any kind of a position to help the folks out that way, lend them a hand and do what you can.
It's really worse than you think, guys. It's really bad over there. I mean, the interstate, like Interstate 40, it doesn't exist in places. Here's that link I was talking about, and just click on the play button, and yeah, there's the play button right there. Click on the play button, and it takes about 30 seconds for it to start. I think that's for advertisement or something. Let's see if they're still having it.
You would always send gifts to Barbara Deverett up here in Lenore, and a long time ago. But yeah, that's where I'm from. Was in Clay County was the sister company to Blue Ridge.
All right, there we go. So let's take a listen to that, guys. You'll hear a lot tomorrow, I'm sure, on it there. So let's see, what else do I have on my list for tonight? We had the vice president debate tonight. It'd be interesting after this to go look and see what they said. That might be interesting for some people. If you haven't been watching the news tonight, you will find out that Iran attacked Israel again today. They sent over 180 missiles, rockets, into Israel today. And I honestly think that Israel might take this as an opportunity to do something and hit back into Iran, actually.
Then we have regional war. That would not be fun.
Yeah, it's already kind of a regional war now, but it may expand some. Yeah. All I'm trying to get some stuff together for another flight, another pico balloon flight. I don't know. I want to do something a little different. So, it's becoming wintertime now, and Carlos, this is the tracker basically we've been flying. It's about the size of a postage stamp, and that little piece there breaks off. But
Is that the same module you had at Hamvention a couple of years ago?
yeah, it probably is. That one probably is. So we want to try something different, guys. We want, it's becoming winter now, and another thing, the interesting thing about it, all of our stuff is solar powered. We really, batteries won't work at those temperatures, and so we're solar powered. So, but the problem, most people fly flat solar cells, and you only get enough voltage. Those solar cells only get you enough voltage when the sun comes in at about a 20-degree angle to the cells. So you can see at sunrise, it's 0 degrees, and it takes it an hour or so before it comes up high enough. Let me get on a thing here. Yeah, the sun has to come up high enough that it hits those cells at at least 20 degrees. So we're going to try something and play something a little different. This is typically what we've been flying, just flat cells like that. And you can see the little trackers just glued on top here. But we're going to try something different on this one for winter time. And we're working on, I've got a picture here, a 3-sided solar panel here. And we're going to fly it vertically like this. And hopefully, one of 3 sides will pretty much always be in the sun. And if it does turn a little bit, the other side will, of course, pick up the sun. We have blocking diodes on each of the sets of cells to keep the voltage from going back into the dark cells. But to hold down weight, let's see. Yeah, I've got to hold down weight. Just we build this up with styrofoam. We cut out as much as we can to make it lighter, and we'll put. That's all the cells we need to make it work. 6 cells, but we're going to have 18 cells on this, and that's going to add weight. You can see we're adding 2 more sides and 2 more sets of 6, so that's going to add some weight to it. We still should fly above 40,000 feet. There it is, kind of put together. Let's see. The cells, we're using those little glass cells. Those things are really, really thin. They're difficult to solder, and they're very thin. You sneeze, they break. So we got to be very careful putting them together. And a lot of times you can put 3 or 4 together, and then one will break, and then you'll have to go back in and try to take one out and replace it. And that's what they look like when they break. They just snap, man. They just snap off, man. They are so thin. The styrofoam, our styrofoam frame here weighs 5 grams. So that's adding some extra weight, 5 grams. And let's see. Look at there it is with 18 cells glued. Now the glue also adds weight to it. So there's the styrofoam plus 18 cells plus glue. We're coming in at about 15 grams right there total. The tracker is 1.7 grams, so that puts us up about 16 grams. And then our 20-meter half-wave antenna is less than 2 grams. So we'll be flying, this is going to be heavy because of what we're doing with the solar panels, but we'll be flying it just probably a little under 20 grams. Typically our entire system flies at about 7.8 grams total for everything.
Wow.
Let's see what else we got here.
Do you expect to get extra runtime out of the extra cells?
Well, you could probably get a little bit more, and especially low light, it might help or something. The tracker actually will run almost down to about I'm getting somewhere around 2.8 volts probably before it quits transmitting. So we really need, and we've got a 3.3 volt low voltage regulator, low dropout regulator on there. So we typically run a 3.3 volt on there, and it'll keep transmitting until it gets down below 3. There's the cells as we're putting them together. You can see I'm trying some of the little, I used to just solder wires on there. These strips are really hard to solder on these cells. If you heat it too much, that little strip, that little narrow strip you see on the cell there, it actually just goes away and you don't have anything to solder to. So I bought some this tabbing, I think it's called tabbing strips, and that's what I kind of lay it on the cell and heat it up, and it does stick to it. So
will a nickel welder work?
What was that? Nickel what?
A nickel welder?
No, because that would there's not enough on that cell to even. That's like that stuff on that cell is almost like a photograph. I mean, it is so thin.
Thin.
Yeah, it's so thin. I usually, what I'm doing, I'm putting a drop of flux on there, and then I'm laying that tabbing stuff on there, and then I'm just heating the tabbing stuff up, and it does stick pretty good to the to it there. This is one of the new Triquito trackers made by Dave. I forget his call. Bill's in the chat room. He knows who it is. You can actually the total cost of the tracker is about $6, to tell you the truth. And I had these built. I sent the Gerber files and everything up to JLC PCB board company in China, and they actually made the boards to the specifications. And they actually put the parts on it, and the board there on the right is the tracker board. It costs $6, about $6 total, to have those boards made and the parts put on them. And that's a lot easier than me trying to put the parts on it, because we had to do it under a microscope, and that just, you almost can't get a soldering iron small enough to put some of those little parts on. The part there on the left side is a Raspberry Pi Pico. You can buy that for $4. Off the internet, and those two boards match up to each other, and once they solder together, then you got a functioning tracker. And that whole tracker there weighs about 5.5 grams, so not too bad. It weighs about 4 grams more than the little one that we've been flying. So there's how they come from the factory. The little white things are the GPS module that's on there. Parts are getting really cheap. Yeah, Doug KD2 KDD makes these, and he has made the site public. If you want to download the files and have some made, you just send those files to the PC board company, and they will actually make them for you. And I got a really quick turnaround. They made these boards in about 4 days, 5 days. And then they sent it out for shipment on a Friday, and I got a notice that they were going to be delivered here on Monday, and that's from China. So Friday to Monday, they actually didn't come till Tuesday, but I think that's still pretty quick, and it came DHL. So there they are again. That's holding the little tracker we've been flying. And I'm still going to be flying some of those. In fact, Bill is working on a problem we've got with that one. I've got a voltage calibration problem, and for some reason it's not reporting voltage correctly. And Bill is the chief guru in that area, and Bill is looking at to see why it's not reporting the right voltages. So let's see what else I got here. We've already looked at the weight and the broken cells and everything. So that's kind of my story, and I'm sticking to it there right now. Okay, all right, back to Well, we didn't have time to open the phone lines tonight. Maybe next week we'll do that. And I'm thinking about going and getting some popcorn or something, man. You know, who knows? Maybe take it easy. Want to, again, thank Carlos for being on here with us tonight. Carlos, you're welcome to come on here any night you want to with us.
Thanks for the invite. I might take you up on that.
Yeah, come on and show with us and be a regular on the show if you want to, man. We're always open to have people on here. Hopefully Glenn will be back. For anybody tuned in late, Glenn went to the hospital. Glenn went to have a physical checkup today after being, he had the heart operation surgery 2 years ago. He was scheduled just for a random physical checkup today, and they did the checkup, and they sent him straight to the hospital. So I don't think he was feeling any pain or anything, but something showed up on the treadmill. They didn't like it, and they sent him straight to the hospital. So I got a note from him a minute ago. They are keeping him overnight. So I don't know if he's going to get out in time tomorrow to go cut the grass down at his house or not. I just don't know. So if we got any volunteers down in let's see, no, he's in South Haven, Mississippi. Go cut Glenn's grass. All right, guys. We'll say good night to everybody. 73 to everybody in the chat room. Hey, hit the subscribe button. Join our Facebook group, W5KUB. We'll see you next week. And have a nice day. 73 to everybody. All right, let's
73.
see.